All right, what's going on, guys? It is Friday, 9/11, a big day in history. Crazy, right? You remember where you were at on 9/11, Jeff?
I was in sixth grade. I was in Miss Casella's class. They brought in one of those TVs that were on those stands, had like the VCR and all that. Wheeled that in,
Oh, they
and then
brought it right in.
yeah, brought it in. Like they showed it quickly, and then we got let out at like noon. I went home. I don't think I had a clue really what was going on. I was only 11, so it was one of those things. I knew like something was happening, but didn't really know. But yeah, I don't remember any other teachers from that school, but Miss Castella because of that, probably because of that moment.
Yeah, man, crazy. So today's discussion, we're gonna talk about warm-ups, doing proper warm-ups, the purpose of warm-ups, and hydration. We're also gonna talk about mobility work, and we're gonna talk about the recovery phase of the training program. So, to some people, right off the bat, might be some boring topics, but for guys like you and I, pretty interesting. Scientific topics, if you will. And I think that anyone who's listening, it can help educate them a little bit and help them understand the importance of these things and what they have to do with ultimately your end result. So when you're setting goals for fitness, like, as trainers, as coaches, where do we come in? Where I know, like, we come in as far as from my business is that it's done for you. Like all you got to do is show up and do the workout. There's no thinking on your part. You got to bring your A game, your work ethic, good attitude, some water, and just go to town, So we're the ones that sit back and do the program design, the warm-ups, and then incorporate the mobility and encourage people to do proper recovery stuff. So tell me about your training a little bit, Jeff, because we have a little bit of different styles, but regardless of what style of training you have, I'm interested to learn a little bit more about your warm-up process when you're doing a workout, whether it's you alone for yourself or it's for a client or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting too, because I think everyone's goals are different. So your training styles are going to be different. But as a coach, I think you have to adapt, obviously, to, design programs that fit people better. But my own personal training is more of, recently it's been a lot of running and things like that. But my go-to, which I'm moving forward with, is very strength-based. It's very hypertrophy, which is just building muscle base. So the goal moving forward, trying to build muscle, get stronger. So for me, I'm running like a 5-day split. It's basically training an upper body day. Training an upper body day, a lower body day, and then breaking it up into more of like a pull, which is like biceps, back, shoulder work. Then more of a push, which is pressing. So shoulders, any type of pressing forward, barbell, dumbbell, things like that. Overhead, some work, and then lower body work. And then it just changes. The rep schemes change throughout the week. So I'm doing a little heavier earlier in the week, more stimulating the muscle, contracting the muscle, trying to develop the muscle a little bit later in the week, trying to build more. So for me, a lot of my training style is very like kind of, you're breaking down muscle tissue, you're doing a lot of volume. So for me, all the injuries I've had in the past, I think warming up's important. So for me, I've had the femur break. So I've had low back issues at times. I had like sciatic stuff at times. So a lot of it's doing a lot of core activation. It's doing a lot of mobility. So for example, I'll lay on the floor and you're doing different stuff on the floor, trying to open up the back, the hips, trying to activate the abs, get the glutes and hamstrings activated to take pressure off the back. So I'm doing tons of foam rolling. I'm doing a little bit of band work. So it's really trying to get all those little muscles activated and warming up the body. In the foam rolling, I've been a huge preacher of, because I think it's so important to get the, if you're sitting in a chair, for example, which a lot of people are, your hip flexors get tight, your quads get tight, your low back gets tight, and your hamstrings and glutes are shut off. They're not working. And if those aren't working, your pelvis is tilting. So the majority of people listening to this are getting really tight and jacked up just from sitting all day. And then they come in, they don't warm up, and then boom, like next thing you know, your back hurts or like your knees hurt because your quads are tight. So it's just important to take that 5 minutes and foam roll your quads, your glutes, your hamstrings, your back, just get everything loosened up, and then start to warm it up through movement, whether you're doing, whatever that may be, something at MVP or just on your own at the gym. But it's kind of foam roll, dynamic warm up, a little bit of tissue work, and then so on into the workout. But it probably takes me about 15, sometimes 20 minutes because of the injuries and everything.
Yeah, I love it. Very similar with my own personal stuff. A little bit different than like the general pop. So like come into a group fitness class, like here at MVP, what we do is we try to keep things like dynamic for the warm up. So a lot of these little things that we're doing, like, you know, like Frankenstein's, we call them, and
Yep.
then skipping high knees, and then, you know, rotational lunges and all that stuff. The people are doing it, and it's like, you know, okay, what's this all about, you know? But what it really is it's doing just what you said. We want to get the central nervous system firing. We want to warm up the posterior chain. We want to get the abs firing. We want to neutralize the pelvis. We focus a lot on the same like areas like you do. Really, when I warm somebody up, we just want to get the pelvis nice and neutral. I feel like that is like all the strongest musculature in the body is
Yeah.
around the pelvis. So that's really, they say the hip flexors are the secret hidden muscle that drives the whole system, right?
Yeah.
And like you're talking about, I call them desk athletes, right? Or like I call them desk warriors, right? So if you have a seated job, you sit at a desk for a living, like you said, you're literally essentially ironing your hamstrings flat, flattening your hamstrings down. Your hips are flexed the whole time, like anterior and front, right? So you've got these tight hips. Like you said, your low back takes over. You start to slouch. You try to fix your posture. You fix the flexion in your spine, but you fix one problem and cause another, in my opinion. People often scoot out to the edge of the chair, try to fix their posture, and then what happens? You overextend your lumbar spine, and now you're into an anterior pelvic tilt, and people wonder why they like start a gym program, can't get down into a squat, the low back hurts, so on and so forth. So it is the things that aren't so fun, the boring stuff, in my opinion, are the things that can really lead to ultimately the results you're looking for. Like you said, the things like when we first throw people on a foam roller, they hate it, you know what I mean? And I have a love-hate relationship. Yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with it. You've seen me do a lot of it, and vice versa. We've worked a lot of soft tissue work together. But for me, having a spine injuries and stuff, spine surgeries, it's huge, you know? So I focus a lot on the spine and the glutes and basically the quads and hamstrings. And once I get those like loosened up, now it's time to go ahead and put them through movement. And now it's time to go ahead and add a load and get them firing. And it's much more effective. So it kind of, the warm up, you know, goes into the mobility thing, which is one of our topics for today. And recovery and hydration, I think, go hand in hand. But the warm up, whether you're doing soft tissue work or you're doing dynamic warm up movements, it's all good. You know what I mean? But the days of like, how many times you've been in the gym, Jeff? You've been through the fitness scene the same way I have throughout the years, right? How many times have you gone into like a big box gym, like a Gold's or a Planet Fitness or a Bally's, right? And then you see people walk in the front door, walk to the locker room, get changed because you worked at a gym, so you people watch a little bit. They walk in the front door, they walk to the locker room, they change their clothes, and they're wearing clothes. They come out and either go straight on the treadmill and start running, or they go straight to the weights or straight to a machine and just start going, right? And then what happens with us is we get these well-muscled guys, or we get these well-muscled gals that come in that they look good, they look fit, you know, they look decent, but they can't even, you know, if you were back in the second grade, you couldn't raise your arm to ask a question, you know, and if you start going to throw weight loads overhead like that, you're just risking injury.
Right. And I mean, it's running isn't a warm up. Running is like, if you're going to run, that's the purpose of the workout. Like you got to get ready to run. It's like, you know, treadmills, all this stuff, like there's benefits to them. But at the end of the day, I think to simplify it, it's like there's whatever your workout's going to be, there's movements you need to do, whether it's tissue work, foam rolling, dynamic warm up. Like you got to prepare your body for what you're going to do, or eventually it's going to catch up with you. It's a matter of time before you get too tight and too jacked up till one day you got sciatic pain, one day you got back pain, one day your shoulder hurts. It's just imbalances that will occur. So it's just taking those little steps each day.
Yeah, no doubt. So a little bit I wanted to talk about, right, with the mobility work and stuff,
Mm.
which, warm up mobility. Again, I think everything goes hand in hand, but like the purpose of soft tissue work, right? So a lot of people don't understand it. It looks like you're just inflicting pain on yourself for like temporary release, right? Like some use a foam roller, some use a lacrosse ball. I use a baseball or a softball. Like I'm a real aggressive, excuse me, I'm a real aggressive tissue work person. And my theory behind it, and I'm interested to see how you feel about it, right? So you have the muscle tissue that is a sliding surface, right? So when it binds itself up and starts to adhere itself together or glue itself together like a knot, it's
Yeah.
like trying to stretch a cold, glued together, adhered muscle is challenging. But if you can take and break down that tissue, break it apart a little bit, and get it sliding again, and then go through movement and or static stretch it. You with me so far?
Yeah. Oh
Right?
yeah.
You can not only cause a good temporary release of the muscle to get the tissues functioning properly again, but if you do it for the right amount of time and consistently enough, I'm walking, talking proof from the spine injury that you can make a permanent change by doing those types of things. It may not always be comfortable, but
Right.
what do you think, Jeff, that has like an impact on your training, or what are the benefits of that when it comes to training, putting in the foam roll work, the tissue work, and warming up properly for a workout? What are the benefits?
I mean, it's huge, man. To me, if you're training without it, number one, before we say that, if you're training without it, it's a short-term result because eventually you're going to break down and you have to start over and you're going to have to fix these things anyway. So being proactive is important. But like to your point with that knot and tissue stuff, it's like if you tied a knot in a rope or something like that, the muscle can't lengthen properly. It can't move properly. So you're going to tug. It's going to tug on other places. You're going to compensate in other places. So you can avoid it and not roll it because it hurts, or you can work into that knot and get that knot to release so you can move the muscle how it's actually supposed to move. And I think it's huge. You can't move optimally. 99% of people can't move optimally without doing some type of tissue work or mobility work or rolling or lacrosse balling, because we're all jacked up. We're all moving every day, sitting too much, doing other things. There's very, very few people that can like warm up through a movement without any compensation, pain, or discomfort. We're just built like that. So mobility is everything. The tissue work. Some people don't need aggressive tissue work. Like me and you are pretty jacked up. So like there's tons of scar tissue. There's tons of all this stuff. And the more injuries you have, you got to work harder into them. You got to break up a lot of tissue. It hurts. People that don't have these big injuries, it's, you have it lucky in a way where just foam roll like for 5 minutes a day, lengthen all the tissue out and just be consistent and go through full range of motion and you'll be okay. It's when you don't do that for years and years of training is when you kind of beat yourself up. So it's ungodly important because you won't have quality movement on the back end down the road without it.
No doubt. So quick little story, right? And a lot of people that I train with look at it like we're just being mean or we're just torturing them, or if we do it at the end of the session,
Hey, we do it to ourselves too. So
yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. You want to see torture. Come foam roll with me for a day and let me know how you feel after 25 minutes of it. Like I do the same type of shit at home, like on my living room floor all the time. Like I live in a house, there's a bunch of us, there's 6 of us. People, it's just nothing to come in and just see me have multiple like mobility tools, like a foam roller, a baseball, a resistance band, like down on the floor and just be in some awkward position,
Yeah.
Or I go down, I got the gym in the basement, or I lock myself in the bedroom and do it because the dog is all over you.
I have to do the same thing. He's just like playing all over you.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't have any injuries and you're pain free or whatever, but you're just struggling with movements and it can be identified, or a coach or a trainer, or you can self-diagnose and find where your imbalances are, the things that are restricting your movements and holding you back from reaching your full potential. Like you don't have to have any fancy equipment or be in a gym to do this stuff. Like I used to go down to Brian Duquette in the physical therapy, right? I used to go down to his place, was it Berkshire Sports and Physical Therapy? I used to go down there in the morning just for motivation, just for somebody to talk to while I was doing it, just to like stretch through the pain, when I wasn't even a patient of his. He was a cool enough guy to let me do that. But I've made leaps and bounds, I'm nowhere where I need to be. But what I was getting at, again, a little off topic there, is the people that like skip out on it and stuff, they don't realize like your workouts are only as effective as like you can move, right? So if you can move fluidly through different ranges of motions, your workouts are going to be super effective. But if you struggle with the movements that you're doing, your workout's only going to be so effective, right?
Yeah.
Quick story. Young athlete comes in, trains with us for a summer, was really, really overextended, right? Like low back, just wicked overextended. Very, very strong kid. Took about a year to get him out of extension and teach him like how to maintain and hold like a neutral pelvis. Did that with him. Now this is one of my coach's kids. It's Luke.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So and
He's
Luke
going to Springfield. I went to Springfield.
Luke just went to Springfield, man. Yeah, he's gonna be a strength and conditioning coach. So yeah, man, he fell in love with it. But here's a kid that is an athlete, strong, and will do anything you tell him to, but he just couldn't move well because he was stuck in extension, right? So get him out of it. I mean, I remember the first summer, and you ask him or ask his father, they'll tell you the same thing, or anybody who trained with him, could not get that squat even down to parallel, like at all, whether it was just with body weight or weight load. Now here's a kid that deadlifts like close to 400 pounds, at age 16, and get him out of extension. And I got a video out there somewhere. I actually sent it to you right after it happened. It's probably a year ago now, but I'm pretty proud of that. He squat like full depth, ass to the grass. This is the following summer. 285 for like 8 reps, like back squat, could not do it with his own body weight the summer before. And the kid just motivated, took his time. He'll tell you it changed his life, took his training to the next level. And that's where the kid really started hitting his goals, like got stronger with all those compound, like functional movements, and built a ton of like muscle mass. He's a pretty big kid now, football player and stuff.
No, it's awesome. And I mean, I think that's the thing is patience too. That's going to be important to any time you're doing mobility work. It's not going to change overnight. Anytime you're doing these adjustments, it took him a year to get to that point, and he's a young kid. So, you're getting 30s, 40s, 50 years old, it took you a long time to get jacked up. So it's going to take you some time to get through it, but it's the consistency every single day. And it's that tissue that's going to change. But like, man, if you got a tennis ball or a baseball of glued tissue, it's just locked up in there, man. You can't just work it for 5 minutes and be like, oh yeah, it's good after a year, like years and years of being glued. So it's just consistency, patience, and then that'll you'll recover from it, but it's going to take time.
For sure. Brings us into our next topic, recovery and hydration. So like I read somewhere, you'd have to Google it, right? And I think any training certification you take touches base on proper hydration and training in extreme conditions and what is it? Heat. Yeah. Help me out here, Jeff.
Well, you're talking about what are you talking about? Just hydration? Like how much you're supposed to hydrate?
Yeah, well, hydration and then getting like flush from like heat, you know what I mean?
Like heat stroke, heat exhaustion.
Heat stroke,
like
yeah, heat exhaustion. That's what I was looking for. But it's something crazy, like 96% of the population walks around dehydrated, right? And
yeah, everybody.
Yeah, right. So you get somebody that's going to take on a training program and wants to make a change in their physique, right? And their health, wants to look good, feel good, and be healthy. But drinks like 2 coffees in the morning and then puts down like a Red Bull like mid-afternoon or like late morning, and then come like mid-afternoon, still hasn't even had any water. And they come in the gym and they're having their first little, 12 ounce or 16 ounce pull in spring water for the day, get dizzy, lightheaded, and like wonder why, or like sore and crippled for like 3 days. Chances are you probably don't have enough water.
Yeah. Hydration is so important. And a good imagery, if I had a picture of this, if you look at like the physiology, picture when you're dehydrated, your blood becomes very viscous, which means thick. So like think about this thick blood running through your blood vessels, and it's like, how are you supposed to like perform when the blood's just thick? Like you should be flowing, should be going to the muscle, you should be like energized, but it's, you're just not going to feel good. It's just thick, man. So like the more hydrated you are, the better blood flow you're going to have, the more circulation to the muscle, the better recovery you're going to have. Your energy level is going to improve because now you're actually getting the nutrients, you're getting the vitamins, you're getting, the minerals, all the little things that you need to. And like your muscles don't function without water, your brain doesn't function without water, your organs don't function without water, but we're going to deprive it of water and then ask it to perform and recover and do a million things. It's insane. It's over 70 to 80% water, whatever the number is exactly. And we deprive it of it. You can't expect to work optimally when you're not getting what you need.
Precisely. So yeah, right along with the same lines of hydration, every cell and tissue in your body needs water, right? So
Yeah.
We're going into like recovery and stuff, and your results are in a recovery. Like, sure, you're setting the pace for that when you're doing your workout and stuff, and whatever activities you do like throughout the day or on the weekend. But in the recovery, the results are in the recovery. It's when you're sleeping is when it's happening. And the hydration, right? Your muscle tissues need to repair themselves and rejuvenate themselves, rebuild themselves. That happens at rest when you sleep. And a lot of people go to bed. Here you go. You'll love this one, Jeff. A lot of people go to bed and they start to slow down their water intake at night, like kind of not intentionally dehydrating themselves, but they don't want to get up out of bed in the middle of the night, right? And most people will go pee right before bed as well. So you'll stop intaking water in the evening. You'll urinate before bed. You'll go to bed because you don't want to wake up in the middle of the night. You have to go to the bathroom. I'm a 1 or 2 trip to the bathroom at night kind of guy because I do drink so much water. I'm not saying everybody should do it to that degree, but what I am saying is I do know enough that like if anyone out there can relate, going to bed, wake up in the morning with a stiff back, oh, my back hurts. You get out of bed and you start moving around as the morning goes on. You're like, oh, I must have just been tight from laying there and not moving all night. Well, maybe to a certain degree, right? And you started moving and they think that the muscles loosened up and it freed itself up. But, right, going back to how your muscle tissues use water to repair and rejuvenate themselves, if there's nothing there, your body's a pretty smart thing. It will go and take anything it can to get the job done. It'll result to the fluid inside of the intervertebral discs in your spine, right? And it will start to draw the fluid out of your spine to repair that tissue at night. If there's not enough water in your system, if you're dehydrated, so thus compressing your spine, causing all that tight muscle tissue. So was it that you woke up and started moving around, got the blood flowing to loosen up, or was it that you woke up and as the day went on, you put fluids in, you got a little more hydrated and your spine lengthened back out as your discs filled back up with fluid? Something to think about, right?
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, think about it. You're sleeping 6, 7, 8 hours, ideally 7, 8 hours or so. You're completely dehydrated all night. You wake up after not having a sip of water after 8 hours, most likely maybe not having water before bed. Yeah. And then you have coffee, which is just going to dehydrate you more. Like and then continue forward. And you wonder why all these things are starting to happen. And like from a hydration standpoint, I'm like, man, if you can just wake up, fill up 16 ounces of water, pound it down. If you want to get real fancy, throw a little lemon, throw a little Himalayan pink sea salt in it, like a little teaspoon, get the minerals, not worry about the taste perfect, just pound it down. Like you got some electrolytes, you got some water, or buy like a little packet, something. But then it's like 16 in the morning, 16 at night, 16 at like noon. That's 48 ounces of water. It's almost half a gallon, and that's just 3 times you drank water. So it's like little things like that, just 16, 16, 16. If you can do it 3, 4, 5 times, next thing you know, you're almost at your water intake by the end of the day.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I'm a little guy, 150, 155 pounds, 5'5", and I drink at least a gallon of water a day. And there's times like on the weekend, I drink a lot of these seltzer things. Anybody who knows
Yeah.
me sees me strutting around. I put down a case of those a day on top of regular water. But there's been times 10:30 in the morning on a Saturday, I have my gallon jug of water and I'm picking up off the floor and take a swig of it. It's already halfway gone. There's already a half a gallon right there. And sure, maybe I do a coffee in the morning and probably one of these before I leave the house. And that's just by like 10:30. But I'll tell you what, having injuries and stuff, I do notice a difference. I can tell you right away by the way my body feels, and the way my mind feels when I am dehydrated. I can tell right away, oh, didn't get enough water this morning. I'm slacking and it's time to hydrate, you know?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like you got to be taking in, everyone says a bunch of different stuff. If you drink, unless you're like a small 5-foot petite woman, if you can drink a gallon of water, like, that's like the safest bet. If you can drink 3/4 of a gallon, if you're a smaller, little, shorter person or something like that. But I mean, and at the end of the day, it's just make time to drink some water, just drink it. It's not like it's hard, just drink it. That's it. It's just making a priority to just drink it.
Yeah, there's really no excuse there. Like, find a way. Just drink water.
It's not like someone's like holding a gun to your head. Just
yeah.
It's just like like, hey man, here's 16 ounces. Go go go. If you want to perform, if you want to work out, you want to feel better, your energy improve, you want to be less achy. That's the other thing. Last thing, and we'll jump off is like the joint too, man. Your joints become achy and sore when you're dehydrated. So again, do you have injuries? Because injuries can occur from dehydration. If you're trying to do all these deep squats and reps and burpees and movements and your joints don't want to move well, yeah, I mean, you could hurt yourself potentially because you're so dehydrated. So, I mean, or maybe you're achy because you're just dehydrated. It could be a million different things, but those are usually the two reasons. It's like, maybe you don't really have any pain. Maybe it's you feel the pain because neurologically you feel it, but is it just dehydration? Did you not warm up properly? Did you not sleep well? It could be a lot of times a simple fix.
Yeah, man. So, and the other thing I tell people is, hey, like, it's a win-win. Water speeds a hormone in your body that helps fat loss. So if you want to burn fat, like that's like, I feel like that's fitness and workout stuff 101. Like you need to, one of the first things you do is increase water intake. You know what I mean? And
Sleep.
It's a very simple thing. Sleep 8 hours.
Sleep, move, drink, eat. And
no
repeat.
doubt. Yeah. Don't be afraid of food. Food's good, right?
Right.
All right, cool. Jeff. So with that being said, we're going to cut off and get out of here. Thanks for your time. Little virtual fist bump. All right, brother. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. 9/11. We'll see you later.